WWL-TV, Channel 4, New Orleans. Garland Robinette, Angela Hill, Jem Henderson, and meteorologist Dave Barnes. Louisiana's news leader, Channel 4's Eyewitness News, Nightwatch.
Good evening. Tonight, a Baton Rouge man is behind bars and a Gretna family is grieving.
Grieving over the senseless death of a man who only tried to do the right thing. 37-year-old Gary Fay was struck and thrown into Lake Pontchartrain by an alleged drunk driver. Ironically, Fay was at the time trying to warn police that the driver was headed their way. 39-year-old Dalton Willis, the alleged drunk driver, was not hurt and was immediately arrested. Frank Turner reports.
Police say Dalton Willis began his trip across the causeway as a drunk driver. Before he could finish it, he'd become a killer. His victim, 37-year-old Gary Fay, was killed while warning police that Willis's pickup truck was weaving all over the road. He'd spotted him earlier and sped past him, flagging down the officer about 3 miles before the Metairie end of the causeway. Fay and the officer were standing next to their stopped cars on the causeway, but witnesses say Willis slammed into them.
He went into a police car and the gentleman flew overboard. First thing I tried to do was get a life ring because I could see the man. He was calling for help.
Tempo definitely is someone in the water.
Fay's cries were heard by Robert Carruth, who jumped into the icy-cold Lake Pontchartrain to save him.
As soon as I hit the water, it was very cold. On my way down, I could see his head was still above the water. By the time I got to the water and I swam over to the life ring, he was under, and I didn't see any bubbles after that, and I couldn't catch my breath. It was so cold.
But Carruth's heroic rescue effort was fruitless.
The officer was lucky to escape with his life. He must have missed hitting that truck by 1,000th of an inch.
Frank Levy was among the first to see Willis stagger from his overturned truck. The bottle of vodka he'd apparently been drinking from sat next to the wreckage.
Obviously drunk. When he got out of the truck, he was oblivious to what was going on, and it wasn't shock. It was like he didn't really know what was happening. His voice was slurred. He was staggering around.
The Coast Guard began the recovery effort, leaving markers for diving teams that followed. About an hour later, Fay's body was pulled from the icy depths of the lake. Officials say the Gretna man was headed to a business meeting for the First Industrial Bank, where he was an officer. He'll be remembered as a man who died trying to do the right thing. Frank Turner, Eyewitness News, Nightwatch.
Authorities say Dalton Willis has been charged with vehicular homicide, driving while intoxicated, failure to maintain, and reckless operation of a moving vehicle. According to the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, Willis' blood alcohol level was .23. That's more than double the legal limit.
And our audience should know that you were only yards behind this while it was happening. You notified the police via phone in your car. The officer that missed by inches of being killed also did some rather incredible things.
You know, he really did. The more I think about it, the more incredible it becomes, because this is man, Officer Donald Trosclair, and he is a causeway policeman, and he literally missed being killed by this much. And we all watched what he did. He ran over to the railing, he saw the man in the water, he tried his car's smithereens to pull out the life ring, which was smashed into the car, and this rope ladder that they finally extended down. And then, after all of that, started directing traffic. And I know the man must have been in shock. I mean, to see death that close, plus to be so close to something so horrible.
And the bottom line is this is not an isolated incident. There are drunks on that causeway on a regular basis, and a lot of people tonight are asking why. Why are they continually there? Why aren't they in jail? Why aren't they being prosecuted? And I know that can't apply to every person that drives that causeway and gets a little inebriated, but something has to be done. Right. This is a regular occurrence. All right, tonight a Mid-City man is dead following a freak accident right outside of his home. 39-year-old Andrew Scott was trying to jumpstart his 1972 Mercury Marquis. Trouble is the car was in drive and took off down Iberville Street. Scott was run over and killed, but the car continued down the street. About a block and a half down, it hit another car, sending that car smashing into a house. No one else was injured, and the house sustained modest damage. It could be a major breakthrough in a crime that sent shockwaves through the CBD. Police have located the car driven by Linda Yeager, the Harahan woman gunned down as she walked to her car earlier this week.
We just got the car in and we're processing it now. It's too early to tell us. We certainly hope it will be. It is definitely the victim's car.
The car was first spotted in this uptown neighborhood Wednesday night, about 2 hours after Yeager was killed.
Tomorrow, scores of burglary victims are expected to converge at a warehouse in Laplace. There, authorities will be displaying $200,000 worth of bicycles, furniture, and appliances that have been stolen in recent months. The merchandise was recovered as part of a one-year sting operation, which began paying off today with the arrest of 26 people in St. John Parish. The men and women are suspected drug users who support their habits by burglarizing homes, then pawning the goods. Undercover officers set up their own pawn shop to snare the alleged burglars.
Without taking the chance of being caught with it. You have weed cutters, lawnmowers, household items.
They steal your valuable property, your lawnmowers, automobiles, trucks, video recorders, and the like, and sell it for pennies on the dollar.
If you think you may have been a victim of one of the thefts, you can go to the warehouse behind the Laplace Kmart all day tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday. Tonight, a state judge is at odds with Jefferson Parish over who should control a special school for juvenile delinquents. The school is designed to rehabilitate teenagers convicted of crimes in Jefferson Parish. The Jefferson Parish Council and State Judge Tom McGee are fighting for control of the facility. McGee wants the school shut down and the money saved to help build a new courthouse. The Parish Council is fighting to keep it open.
A new study finds that a majority of Americans misunderstand the basic provisions of the Constitution. The survey was presented today at the American Bar Association convention now underway in New Orleans. Among the mistaken beliefs, 64% believe the Constitution established English as the national language. It did not. 3/4 of all Americans believe the Constitution guarantees a free education, and half mistakenly think it guarantees the right to own a handgun. That same convention is taking up an issue that strikes deep emotional chords with many Americans.
The issue of immigration laws. Who can legally come to live in the United States? As Cheryl Hickman reports, more than 3 months after major immigration reforms, attorneys are still struggling to make the laws work.
Of the 400,000 Hispanics in the greater New Orleans area, officials estimate 20,000 are living here illegally. They and millions like them across the country risk deportation if they're caught. But under a 3-month-old immigration reform law, any illegal alien who came to the U.S. before January 1982 can apply for amnesty and legal status. Wyoming Senator Alan Simpson helped write the measure.
On May 5th, we're going to begin to legalize 3 to 9 million human beings who are going to come forward and seek this remarkable act of grace.
Congress took 6 years to approve the reform bill. Critics, including the American Bar Association, opposed a provision punishing employers who hire illegal aliens. But now that the bill is law, the ABA is more concerned about the loopholes in it.
And having revealed themselves, if they don't meet all of the tests of the legislation, they are subject then to deportation.
The main obstacle to making the law work now is overcoming the fear of illegal aliens, many of whom have lived on the nation's back streets for years, hiding from the authorities.
The ABA is launching its own campaign to fight that fear.
We think that our most effective approach is to work with community-based groups, the Catholic Church and service organizations that the alien community has identified with and has worked closely with.
Even with its problems, officials say the reform bill is a step in the right direction. They hope it will encourage millions of people to step out of the shadows and into the mainstream of American life. Cheryl Hickman, Eyewitness News, Nightwatch.
Still to come on Night Watch, did the White House try to cover up part of the Iran's arms deal?
And we'll show you the sights and sounds of New Orleans' second carnival season parade.
Experience the best in college baseball coming this month to the Superdome. It's the Busch Challenge 1 Series. All-day baseball in the Dome for just $5. See LSU, Tulane, and UNO play Florida, Florida State, and Miami in 3 games each day for just $5. Enjoy the excitement of Louisiana's college teams in match play that is unequaled in fun, excitement, and good times at the Dome. All tickets $5 for the Challenge 1 Series. Souvenir posters available at your neighborhood Winn-Dixie.
Every minute you wait, you're missing a bargain at Soundtrek's famous $7 million warehouse sale. The South's largest inventory of stereo and video is being sacrificed at unheard-of prices. RCA XL 119-inch color TVs at our lowest price ever, just $197. A sharp 3-piece portable AM/FM cassette, incredibly discounted to just $39. But you'll miss it all if you wait, because these prices end Saturday. Soundtrek's $7 million warehouse clearance sale ends Saturday everywhere.
New Orleans and Spinato Chrysler Plymouth have one thing in common. They both have so much to offer. Spinato is now offering 3.7 financing and a $600 cash rebate on the Plymouth Reliant, a $1,000 rebate on the Chrysler New Yorker, and Lee Iacocca's brand new special for all new Chrysler Plymouth cars, a 7-year or 70,000-mile warranty. Spinato Chrysler Plymouth, 2226 Canal Street, downtown, New Orleans' only Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
Action taken to silence the controversy surrounding the arms scandal could backfire on the Reagan administration. The Tower Commission is expected to come out with its report later this month, a report critical of the president and his staff. What's more, Reagan's hand-picked group is supposedly focusing on a possible cover-up by the president's men. Today's news only added insult to injury as the administration struggles to maintain credibility. A report that CIA Director William Casey misled Congress when asked to testify didn't help.
We can't tolerate this kind of attitude on the part of our senior administrative officials, that you can, anytime you feel it's appropriate, come in and tell falsehoods that you know to be false before the Congress of the United States because it's politically expedient.
President Reagan today responded for the first time since November on the arms scandal, insisting there was no cover-up.
In the meantime, the White House tonight will not say what President Reagan and his former national security advisor said to each other. Mr. Reagan phoned Robert McFarland, who's still recovering from this week's suicide attempt. McFarland took an overdose of Valium hours before he was to testify about the Iran arms scandal. Today at a White House ceremony with the Giants football team, Mr. Reagan refused to answer all questions about the matter.
On the surface, it's a party. In reality, it's a gathering that will help decide careers. Mardi Gras Washington style is well underway in the nation's capital tonight, beginning with an extravagant dinner dance. And tomorrow, it's the big event, a Mardi Gras ball. The weekend festivities allow politicians from Louisiana and elsewhere to drum up support for the fall election.
And tonight, one of New Orleans' most bizarre Mardi Gras crews staged a comeback. Thousands lined the streets as the crew of clones made its way down St. Charles Avenue. As Mike Longman reports, this was a perfect night to welcome crew members back.
After their one-year absence from the carnival scene, the crew of clones was back, depicting a feast of fools.
I think it was somebody else's idea, but I'm happy to abide by it.
The clones pride themselves on being Mardi Gras purists. The marchers carry no throws, so as not to detract from their bizarre costumes.
Lots of blood, but no throws.
But the crew of clones likes to add a twist to old tradition. Instead of the time-tested flambeau, they invented the float illuminator.
You all had special training?
Not much. All it is turn it on, light it up.
That's it.
Right.
The clones also brought back another remembrance of Mardi Gras' past, great sheets of white mist sprayed by this man.
I'm a fogger. Pardon me? A fogger. A fogger? Yeah. And you're supposed to fog anything in particular, or just generally? Just the float so that it lights up the flambeaus, like pick up the light. It kind of gives a haze to it, you know? A haze? Yeah, a haze. Like old, they used to do that in old days. It's a very high-tech parade this year. Yeah, it's complicated, you know?
But the one device that all clones expressed the greatest pride in was the automatic bead-throwing float.
It's an unbiased thrower of the balloons. So it's very important.
No matter how much you yell, throw me something.
It just does it in a general way without prejudice. I think it's wonderful. You know what I mean? So people don't get singled out.
And as the clones marched on, the float illuminators illuminated without igniting any floats. And the fogger fogged floats and marching bands and more than a few spectators to mixed reviews. But toward the end, the automatic bead-throwing float, which had been dispersing small bursts of trinkets along the way, gave out, and the machine was replaced by a clone. But no matter, the clone threw more throws than the machine anyway. Mike Longman, Eyewitness News, Nightwatch.
Still to come, UNO opens its college baseball season.
And later, with just hours left before Valentine's Day, there is no time to be dragging your feet.
In 1967, Turo opened the first coronary care unit in New Orleans. In 1981, Turo introduced non-invasive cardiac Doppler to diagnose blood flow problems. Today, with our new cardiac rehabilitation center, Turo continues to help area heart patients lead healthy, normal lives. Turo Infirmary. The beat goes on.
Chef Mentor, what are you doing here?
I'm the UNO Private Year's biggest fan, and I got 2 free tickets to the game just for test driving a new Banner Chevrolet.
Like a rugged Banner S10 pickup truck with factory air conditioning, tinted glass, rally wheels, and more at a super low Banner sale price?
That's it! Hey, down in front! Ah, my fans, they love me!
And you'll love the deal you get at Banner.
Announcing Weinstein's final week of the winter sale in Saturday, February 14th. Take 15 to 30% off existing reduced prices. Weinstein's, Canal Place across from Saks.
42 police officers and 1 dog were honored today at City Hall for acts of bravery. The hour-long award ceremony saluted the officers for going beyond the call of duty. 3 of them won Medals of Merit, the department's 2nd highest award for acting in a life-threatening situation. One of the winners was Seiko, the police dog who was shot in the face last year and seriously wounded.
Go, Seiko. Yes, he did.
Kept on
We're
ticking.
talking baseball already.
UNO opener tonight, hoping to get off to a faster start than last year when they got off to a really long losing streak and never really recovered. They did so. There was Chamber of Commerce weather for the UNO Privateers to open their season on the lakefront tonight. With a large crowd on hand, appreciative of baseball's return, the Privateers took a 1-0 lead into the 4th. But Brian Muller got roughed up then with 2 outs, and uprising saw Jackson State's Sherman Daniels single up the middle to get home the tying run. Coming around right here. Then it was Joe Briscoe. Watch as he'll pull this shot down the 3rd baseline right over the bag. It'll go as a double. It'll chase home the go-ahead run as the Tigers led 2-1 after 3.5, but UNO fought back into a tie. It went to extra innings, and the Privateers won it in 10 on David Ward's single. They're 1-0 with a 4-3 victory tonight. Jack Morris, the Major League's biggest winner in the 1980s, became Major League Baseball's all-time biggest winner in arbitration today. The Detroit Tiger right-hander was awarded a record $1.85 million salary for '87 by an arbitrator. That's what Morris wanted. The Tigers wanted to pay him $500,000 less. But there can be no compromise in arbitration, and Morris proved his case in citing his '86 record of 21-8, plus the fact that no one's won more games in the decade thus far. Tulane bagged another prize recruit today, one of the top 16 in the state, according to experts. Arid All-State defensive back Mike Riley committed to the Wave. He's 6 feet, 175 pounds. Recruiters love those great triangle numbers: height, weight, speed. Those who have them get noticed right away. Those who don't often don't get noticed enough, as Mark Soischer tells us in Part 3 of The Big Catch.
For Mickey Joseph, yesterday was a huge relief. Now he's a Husker. Louisiana's prize prep product had about enough of recruiting.
I was enjoying it until this week came. Signing time was getting real hard. This person to do this, but we need you to do this for him. Why don't you commit?
Now, Mickey's dilemma became keeping the recruiters away. But one of his teammates at Shaw had the exact opposite problem. Nobody came calling.
In many ways, I really feel that Derek's accomplishments this year at Shaw were every bit as impressive as Mickey's.
But nobody seemed to notice. Although Derek DeCharo rushed for almost 1,300 yards, no recruiters were seriously interested.
They would get all excited about it, and when they seen my size, that would turn them down, and that was my only problem. If I was a couple inches taller and 15 more pounds heavier, Coach Hank said I could have went any way I wanted to.
But at only 5'8", 150 pounds, no major colleges would even consider Derek, no matter how impressive he performed on the field. Even one of the coaches after Mickey Joseph liked the little tailback, but...
He watched Derek, and he kept watching, and finally stood up and said, Coach, if I had some guts, I'd sign this kid. He said, he's better than what we're playing with right now. He said, but if my head coach saw him, he'd fire me. He said, I can't do it, and it's ridiculous, you know.
But a fact, big colleges want big people.
I think this is probably the best run you made all year coming up.
It took a highlight tape compiled by Tierney to sell McNeese State head coach Sonny Jackson on the pint-sized but potent runner.
I wanted to get a chance to play, major college, and Coach Jackson was looking at my ability instead of my size, and he's going to give me the chance to do that.
Derek the Charo was a steal in the city. I mean, you know, we had people telling him, and with due cause, he was every bit the weapon Mickey was. I mean, to stop Shaw, people came in thinking he had to stop Mickey, but when you cut Derek, it was over with.
Now the fans in Lake Charles will find out about the guy who played in Mickey Joseph's shadow.
All my life, I was always the smallest person, and I guess that helped me. Since I was small, I had to beat bigger people out of my position, and I always did it, so it helps me out in high school. I hope it'll help me out in college.
Derek DeCharo. He might be little, but just like his mate Mickey, in his own way, he's a big catch. Mark Soysher, Eyewitness Sports, Night Watch.
A 6-car crash at Daytona today claimed the life of driver Joe Young. Young from Richmond, Virginia, was racing in the Comfort Coach 200 subcompact race when he was embroiled in a tangle of cars. He spun backwards and was rammed head-on by Dual Sturgill. Young was killed in the crash. Sturgill apparently suffered fractures to both legs. Jimmy Connors was at his scrappy best in defeating Kevin Curran tonight and moving into the semis of the U.S. Indoor Tennis Championships in Memphis. Connors' 6-4, 3-6, 6-3 win set up a meeting with Michael Pernfors of Sweden tomorrow. In the NBA tonight, Michael Jordan had another sensational game, which is just commonplace for him. Jordan scored in nearly every conceivable way as he tallied 45 points against the Seattle Supersonics tonight. He put them in from outside, driving, taking it all the way coast to coast. He was sensational with 45 as the Bulls defeat the Sonics 106-98. It was Los Angeles over San Antonio 110-96. Utah leading Phoenix 55-53 in the third. And a young man with whom I dined tonight, Steve Pankey, who works at Copeland's. Of course, we dined at Moran's. I had to get that in. Wanted to give each of you a little T-shirt for Mardi Gras.
Well, that's great.
Celebrating the holiday.
Nice.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Can I have Dave's?
Sure.
Sure.
Oh, this
it won't fit
nice.
him anyway. I think
It
it's
will.
large.
Thank you very much. And speaking of
Very
Mardi
nice.
Gras, we all know what this is. This is a wonderful king cake. I want you to imagine a king cake that is 1,100 pounds, 225 feet long, and has 165 pounds of colored sugar on it. That's what's going to be around tomorrow. Think about that, 1,100 pounds of king cake. And it's all for the special children at the Magnolia School. You are invited to go over and buy a piece of this king cake put out by Tasty Donut on this Saturday from 2 to 5 at 5000 West Esplanade and Transcontinental. And every piece that you buy helps those special kids at Magnolia School. They're going to have also all kinds of fun out there, music, food, and Mardi Gras costumes and prizes.
Plus they got that 50-pound plastic baby.
That's right. How much does the baby weigh? We should think about that. Also, we want to remind everybody that the inaugural parade of the crew, I think this is Du Vucaré, is taking off tomorrow night at 8:30, starting around the Jackson Square area. And one last thing about the Holy Name of Jesus School is having its Gator Run tomorrow morning, 8:45, 1 mile and 5 mile.
All
Go
right.
there and walk.
Coming up next, Dave is only batting 500 for the weekend.
And he'll tell us which day we're likely to get wet.
They're just people. People like you and me. But they know the importance of communications, and they speak your language. These are South Central Bell people. The network of people who can link your business to South Central Bell's sophisticated network of technology. People with the expertise to help you communicate. For the right answers to your complex communications needs. There's one name you need to remember. South Central Bell. Call on us.
Red beans and rice. Gourmet dish at a fast food place.